Good day, good day. Getting right to the reading. What Jesus knew. What then of the miracles? What of Jesus turning the water into wine? Granting that Jesus conceived that the fluid in the bottles was wine instead of water. Certainly, he would, in the normal course of events, have been prompted to empty each bottle of water, proceed to the winemakers and procure the wine, and subsequently to pour this wine into each of the bottles. We know that he did none of these things. He simply conceived that the bottles contained wine, and all of the acts necessary to perform this transition were performed immediately, and the water became wine. What did Jesus know to be able to condense time and physical action in this manner? For one thing, he knew that time, as only now been proved by our scientists, is a dimension, and he undoubtedly was able to perceive each event along this dimension in response to each of his convictions. Secondly, he understood that the physical actions ordinarily necessary to resolve a thing from a thought are merely the movement of the universal subconscious mind, or his father, as he put it, and he knew that this mind needs no instruments other than itself to effect manifestation. Thirdly, he understood that this mind, by its nature, is every place at the same time, and all of it is any place at any time. So he knew that all of it was within him, and thus his consciousness was expanded to include the wine, the water, and the bottles. With such perception, along with his own magnificent conviction, he was able to transcend time and the movement of bodies in space, and to change the water into wine in an instant. A miracle to us. The truth of things as they really were to him. He did nothing that any of us couldn't do except compress time and circumvent the interaction of physical bodies moving through space. Time is a variable, says modern science. The movement of bodies in space is purely mental, says modern science. Jesus has replaced Newton on the shrine of physics. This then is where we are heading, into the unknown to make it known. Those who cling to their little established worlds are holding on to mere dust. We are after the cause and the source of all things. We are after true knowledge. The one sorrow of the mind is the sorrow of not knowing or not understanding, which contains the sorrow of powerlessness. Not knowing is powerlessness. We are after power, and we want to know. He who knows the supreme causes becomes one with them and acts with them. Can there be any doubt but what understanding the causes of universal power and moving in accord with universal power can give any less than universal power? The properties of light. Let us return to this transitory physical world of ours. One of its interesting phenomenon is light. Light always takes the path of least resistance. Least effort is ordinarily the shortest distance between 2 points. But where light encounters resistance, it simply reflects off in the mathematically most perfect angle so as to maintain its maximum energy. Light is inherent in the universe, and the universe doesn't fight, strain, and snarl. It does things the easy way. There's also some very interesting theories about light, which indicate that which it reflects need not necessarily be true. Light consists of a stream of photons moving at 186,000 miles per second. When you move at 186,000 miles per second, time as we know it stands still. And therefore, that's when space and time will collapse. And therefore, if your thought is strong enough and focused enough with a burning desire, you will deliberately create in moments whatever it is that you want. That's why this information is kept hidden. Now, I didn't read that in the book. That was something that I inferred. That's what came to me through intuition. But it's true if I read the statement. The most important thing that I really wanted to get to, and that is really understanding what's really important. For example, one, all truths that Jesus taught are now being proved by scientific investigation. The overwhelming evidence of the superphysical power of the universal subconscious mind has been recorded in all times by extremely reliable persons. Genius perceives the fixed laws of the universe in at least one aspect. Jesus perceived the fixed laws of nature in its entirety. The bud of perfection or genius dwells within each of us. The thought of today is the thing of tomorrow. Things are thoughts, ideas implanted in the universal mind. We do not perceive the things around us in their true nature. Our world is but a bare indication of the infinite possibilities of all things and all life. The so-called natural world is the unnatural. The so-called supernatural world is the light of truth. Space and time are illusions of man's locked-in viewpoint. Space and time are illusions of man's locked-in viewpoint. Things do not depend for their existence on being perceived, but being implanted as ideas in the universal mind. Creation of any type is the manifestation of a miracle. We only regard it as natural because we see the processes of formation moving through space and time. When we don't see something where we can see it moving through space and time, we automatically give it a different perspective. Expanded consciousness perceives time as a dimension and space as existing within. Intuition will reveal the laws of the universe. Intuition is not merely a hunch, but an irresistible light which must be followed. And that's why I'm making these videos. Jesus is an example of expanded consciousness, compressed time and space to perform his miracles, who was trained how to do this by other trained men. It is enough for us now to affect creation through the established chain of physical movement. Thus, this we can do by refusing to accept doubt and fear. That's another reason why I'm doing these videos, to refuse doubt that I'm capable of making these videos, and fear that what I have to offer is not worth the cost of my breath. Follow the heart. It is the seat of intuition. The subconscious mind must always be controlled, for it proceeds irrationality of itself and depends upon the planning of ideas. The subconscious mind must always be controlled, for it proceeds irrationally of itself and depends upon the planning of ideas. The subconscious mind must always be controlled, for it proceeds irrationally of itself and depends upon the planning of ideas. Lack of conscious control of the subconscious mind is insanity. Denial of the subconscious mind is the birth of fear and futility. Denial of the subconscious mind is the birth of fear and futility. Genius attains balance between the conscious and subconscious mind. Genius attains balance between the conscious and subconscious mind. Genius attains balance between the conscious and subconscious mind. Transfiguration. Slowly, we are moving through the maze of complexity that surrounds our existence. Slowly, we are dissolving the illusions and half-truths that inhabit our minds, or should I say, inhibit our minds and our powers. Gradually, the clutter is being cleared away so that we may perceive the great and edifying truth in all its simplicity. The age is at hand, the dawn is near. When the individual is no longer under the domination of the body and its heredity, meaning whatever your race is, when you can transcend that, yet acknowledge it as well, because that was the exterior that you came forth through. But rising out of your tomb becomes Lord and Master of the body's powers and identified with the immortal self of the world. Such is transfiguration. The whole of man's evolution is preparation for it. The whole of man's evolution is preparation for it. This is our path, the purpose of this study. Long and persevering as it may seem, it is but a negligible flash in the history of man. To him who through it perceives that sublime feeling and power by which he is able to identify himself with the immortal self, all the ages of man will have directed him to that moment. There is no greater goal or undertaking within the realm of life and endeavor. What is a year in its attainment? Even a lifetime. Maybe once again urge you the assiduous practice of meditation, 10 minutes a day, focusing on the meditations. However, keep in mind that if for 10 minutes you meditate, but say like, what's that, 59 hours, is it 59 hours? No, 24 hours, no, 23 hours, 59 minutes, and 50 seconds. Let me do that again. If you meditate for 10 minutes and you meditate in the positive, but then the rest of your day, which is composed of 23 hours and 50 minutes, then you will end up with the negative because you're putting too much time in that day focusing on the negative. But all you need is 10 minutes a day. Put your faith and trust in the mind of God and follow the dictates of your heart. To your own self be true, but do not betray yourself, because if you follow the proper path, it shall follow like the night, the day, and therefore you don't have to be false to any man.